Are there any specific, are there any specific topics that people want to go over? Or desired outcomes?
Can we have discussion of client billing and client value tracking with the enemy? Or shall we do this going for later?
Desired outcomes. To get to team equity as well. What was it? Client billing and what?
Client value tracking. I think it is coming under client billing.
Any other desired outcomes or topics? So for me, it'll be going over the budgeting and set up a needed management budget. If we have time, and then also we want to go for general and
I think we should go for Joseph's documentation problem.
Hi Jay, I record this session and maybe working both of audio and video.
Say that again?
I record this session, YouTube recording, and maybe working this both audio and video for my screen.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you also.
For anyone else that's recording, we just want to add it to the top here. So this recording, Jay, video only.
I want to record this.
Well, yeah, just link it at the top if you're recording. Recording. Jay. Excellent. So now we have a recording. And we probably want to use that instead of mine for the video indexing as well. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. So that's good. Any other desired outcomes or topics?
Choicing.
Sorry, I was on it. In relation to recording, Jay, you told me prioritize in future session the correct to record videos. Stay existing YouTube channel.
Okay.
So
Anyone else? Any other desired outcomes or topics?
For me, can we discuss our next client task or um, next next month client task? What will be?
Client tasks. What does that mean, client tasks?
Uh,
You mean like client goals, like to prioritize our client goals?
yes, that will be fine. Like client goals. Next client goals.
What do you mean by next client goals?
Yeah.
When you say next client goals, you just mean our current client goals?
Yes, I think we are working on budget examination, then non-profit and forest entities. And I just need to confirm that the next, after completing this on the next client goals, what will be? Or
The next class block.
yes,
Okay, well, I guess what I'm confused about is that there's tons of other client work going on now that obviously we don't understand. So we should just go over all of the client goals. It's not the next client goals, it's doing all of the client work. So you guys are just thinking like task things, right? Which is not the correct way to think. Okay, so the idea that we only have these, the nonprofit taxes and DBI or entities is the wrong way to think about it, because there are literally like 24 other essential things that need to be getting done immediately. So, does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah. So there's lots of work to do. So I think we're pretty good. I mean, obviously we're not. Oh, we have to do our.
I have one more. Can you please review again my paper for the
What? To do what?
Can you please review again my doc for the
Oh, for level 4.
yes.
Did we go through that before, or did I miss something?
This student
Did you do the trainings on the public communication?
the recruitment,
No, the public communication.
public communication on sending collaboration form.
Probably, yeah. So you did do the training on the public communication?
Yes, when somebody from public comes and he wants to join us as investor or members, I can send a collaboration form. And also, if they want to be involved as a worker, I can send them the simple elect form.
And what if they have a question?
Which one?
What if they have a question?
They have a question, then I try to I know, and then if I cannot answer, then I shall tell them to that I will bring it to the board and get back to them.
Great. Cool. Alright. So I would say pretty much most of these things, not all of them, are all part of our team setup. So let's just go ahead and get started. Are there any other desired outcomes or primary topics that people want to talk about, or are we good? All right, so let's see if we can get started. So we have no objections to topics?
No.
Okay, guys, as we can see that we have no objection to our topics, and we'll move to our very first topic, which is assisted by Jay and about policy proposal. So, yeah, Jay, and then
Topic is group and team setup and housekeeping, which is all going to be mostly what we focus on today because there's a lot to get through. And so let's go. We're going to set it up briefly. And then we have our primary topic here. And hopefully we'll have some time to wrap up. And we shall see. So I really quickly wanted to go through the policy, the methodology proposal. So let's pull that up real quick. And we can check, see if the global network doc is good. Methodology proposal. Go do that. And then we can go through our team setup process. And I think we would just go through the same template and make sure we have clarity on that for all of the teams. Purpose and structure of the Mercury session would be good. We had recording and documentation questions. Structure and role and purpose, cut that. And this is the management team. The senior management, we don't really need to go over unless there's questions about that. Budgeting. To budget. Process. So I'm really going to go over team budget stuff. I also got the updating that session. I don't know if Steve's going to Steve. Schedule for Mercury session. So we're doing that now. So we have time and go through the schedule. Next mandatory session. If anyone knows that, that would be helpful. Level 4 for choice, financial positions, probably. Co-chairs would be nice to do co-chairs, but we can do that in a quarterman. So team equity would be nice as well. Building client reporting, value tracking. Yeah, pretty much it. That, as far as like, we gotta put better times on it though. So this should take 3 minutes. Setup process maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Purpose and structure maybe 5 minutes. Recording and documentations 3 to 5 minutes maybe. I don't know if we're gonna do this. How's that look? That look good?
yeah.
Alright. So that gives us a little better idea of like our sub-agenda here. And let's start with the methodology proposal. Let's see if you want to do the proposal real quick. Steve?
Yes, Dave.
You want to do the proposal real quick?
Yeah, guys, do we agree on sorry?
I was just noticing that we might have a new person. Oh, is that just Lucy? Oh, she just switched accounts. Okay, cool. And keep going, Lucy.
Hello, guys, do we? Hello? Hello, is Steve there?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Oh, we do have a new.
Yeah, Steve, how do you?
I'm fine.
Okay, then you can continue.
Let's let Steve check in. If we can get your last name, that would be helpful.
Okay, I think we lost Steve.
You want to just say your name, where you're from, what you work on?
Okay.
And you're at
I'm
a 09 for how you're doing.
Okay, I'm doing fine. I'm Steven Otieno. I'm from Kenya. And I'm glad to think this to be part of you.
So we welcome you around Steve, and we wish you all the best of luck within the community. And
Which number?
Steve, you want to give us a number between 0 and 9 for how you're doing? How you're feeling right now?
7.
Okay, great.
okay, guys. So we have got a proposal over here. Let's start the first. So we have a proposal for methodology, terms of involvement, and to approve the Unity methodology and all the related Unity policies, protocols, guidelines, systems, and processes. So do we vote on it?
We just asked if there are any objections, and then we have Steve and Joseph vote because they're new.
Okay, so guys, do we have any kind of objection on the proposal?
No, I'm not objection.
There's no objection from my side as well, and the silence means Steve. Do you have any objection?
Well, no, we want Steve to vote yes, and Joseph to vote yes.
I don't have.
We want confident reinforcement. So the question is, do you approve the proposal?
Yeah, I approve the proposal. Okay, Joseph approved. Okay, Steve?
I do approve.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool.
All right. So, next is the team setup process. So, I was going to do this really quickly. I mean, basically, every team is going to need a. Oh, let's see. Here. Every team is going to need their setup process to go through, right? Does anyone want to go over that briefly, or should I just do it, or?
Yeah, you can give us started.
Every team needs a doc, right? Which this team has already. It should be at the top of the team. So for us today, it would be the Mercury doc. The global team doc actually isn't directly applicable, but it would be the management team doc. There should also be a management team doc. That's yellow, that linked. And so we have, on our management team doc, we have our decisions doc. We have, that kind of information. So every, oops. Yep. So from there, we also would do our team setup doc. Right? So the team setup doc goes through everything that an internal team is supposed to do to get set up. In this case, it's setting up a management team, which obviously is a lot more than just a normal team, but it still takes the basic systems, making sure communications are set up, planning goals, roles and responsibilities, material organizing, evaluation, accountability, documentation, systems, processes. We don't really worry as much about team identity because this is basically directly part of the overall global network. From there, we would be setting up our team verification spreadsheet. So just to make sure it's clear, like every single team would have the team set up as a responsibility. I would even call it team setup support. So this would include helping other teams get set up. In this case, it would be like management team setup support. And this would be like general team setup support. Insert your team here. And so some tasks would be like, we want to make sure it has a doc, make sure there is a doc. Well, in our case, we want to link at the top. And for us, this is the management team doc. And then we also have the Mercury session doc, but the Mercury session is bigger than just the management team. Anything can happen at the Mercury session. We just happen to have our management team at the Mercury session, but other things can happen here as well. From there, we also need to make sure that we're creating, like it's basically updating, make sure I get it right, the responsibility verification spreadsheet. Or team setup, the team setup responsibilities verification spreadsheet. And then there's also the task of creating the setup, the team setup, responsibilities, verification spreadsheet. So does everybody understand that this needs to happen for every team? And this would also be for each team. There's also another responsibility, which is updating and organizing the template team set up responsibilities verification spreadsheet. Okay, so this is obviously one of the most important ones, right? That the responsibilities verification template for teams is not correct. We also need to add all team setup responsibility verification spreadsheets to the list of all spreadsheets, list of all responsibility verification spreadsheets. Okay? This is another task that needs to happen. So again, this needs to happen for all teams across the world, as well as each of the levels of the different types of teams we have, like the management team, the core team, the steering team, the executive team, right? The council, right? These will all be their own teams and need to have their own setup. Even though right now it's kind of like the same people, eventually the goals will be very different. People will be showing up at these different types of meetings to have accountability. Are there any questions in terms of setting up a team? And if anyone wants to step up and help for the management team to help do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that?
I can.
About this week? Okay, so just make that another responsibility, just like overall management, team, setup, support. I guess I would do this one here. So let's call this one overall management, team, support, and then this is C and right?
And me also.
Cool.
Yeah.
And undo it. Great. And then you guys can help move all of this forward for the management team. But remember, this needs to happen for every single team. And we also need a verification process. Can anyone happen to think about how you verify whether the team are doing all of this?
Yeah.
Anyone have an idea of where you verify whether the teams are doing all of it?
Because when we verify what people are doing, it goes to give us a thought. You know what that is.
Yeah, but do you know what spreadsheet that we verify all of this on?
We have a spreadsheet that's only for made out if people are doing a tight task and or fly.
No, that's for individuals. So it's a little bit different on the team level. But I'll just note it here, and we're going to get to it with Joyce as well. So the individual and team levels is where the teams are going to be verified and held accountable. So we do the team levels for individuals, but we also do the levels for individuals, but we also do the levels for double, triple bowl teams as well as buddy teams, and then of course also super teams. And so each super team also has a level, and the goal is that every team, and we also have, beyond super teams, which is the Mercury management team, the global core team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we want each of these teams to be getting organized and up the levels. And so some of these things are going to be like what we just mentioned. So, we want to make sure they have setup docs / spreadsheets. We want to make sure that there are all documents that are needed. We want to make sure that there's a budget. We want to make sure that there is a billing, if applicable. So anyways, the idea is that over time we'll get clearer and clearer on what's required, and we can start moving the actual teams up the level. So in the same way that an individual can go down to the level 2 or whatever, an entire team can go down as well. Does that make sense? And I mean, I would say for now, we basically have Andromeda and Sonic team are like the main teams, and then maybe some of the other teams are like level 1, level 2. But they're not particularly great.
We have also Central Asia team.
Central Asia. So first, oh yeah. And of course, another very important one is team identity. Team identity and name, right? So every team needs a name. The Pacific team is now the Cobalt team. Cobalt. So we have the Andromeda team, the Sonic team, the Cobalt team, and then all the other teams don't have names yet and need names. Okay?
Okay.
So Central Asia. Yes? Yeah.
Do you want to come up with names for the groups like Uraka? They come up with their name.
It's a requirement. It's a requirement for team identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let me see if I have the information on. Okay, so every team, setting up your team, this includes team identity, team name, your schedule for your team, your docs for your team, your verification spreadsheet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
So any other questions on team setup?
No question. So 1 minute left to for this topic.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, cool. So I think we're good on the team setup. Obviously, if we were more organized, we would actually be going through the verification spreadsheets and actually checking off each thing to see if it's been verified. But we're not that organized. So, all right. So let's go to the purpose and structure of the Mercury session. Who knows what the Mercury session is for? Do you want to do this one, Steve?
Actually, Mercury session is for the management team. Management, for activities and the decisions made by, management will be, discussed in this session.
Anyone else want to talk about the purpose of the Mercury team? Anything else anyone wants to add? And see, do you at all want to take the session, or should I just keep it in there? Yeah.
I think the next time, 2 of our goal. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she wants to say that reviewing of our quarterly goals, because Mercury session happens quarterly.
No, Mercury session happens every 1.5 months, but specifically every 4 days. About every 44 days. And we also should know what Mercury session this is. So if we go Mercury, what is today? October 29th. Should be able to find out Mercury we get it. Maybe it's oops. All right, so you can see here the Mercury's at aphelion. Okay, so does anyone know what the Mercury aphelion means?
No.
Well, so the Mercury aphelion is you have the whole month. Okay. So the Mercury aphelion is the point in space-time where Mercury is furthest from the sun. Aphelion is the point in space-time where the planet would be closest to the sun. So that's pretty cool. And you can see that right here. We confirm that on October 29th, which is today, on Sunday, the aphelion is when Mercury is furthest from the sun. So basically, if we can check our previous, right? So we can review our goals, and this would actually be our previous session. So the way that we do it is that at the perihelion is when we set the goals, and then the aphelion is where we review things. Okay. Yeah. But we can also update the goals and everything is perfectly fine. But again, it's every 1.5 months out, every 44 days. It is also our first primary planetary session. So the Mercury session is the first planet, right? So before the Mercury session, everything is lunar cycles. Yeah. All right, so let's get back to the management stuff. So you're correct about the management, all proposal decisions made by my management. This is where we discuss the management and coordinate all the managing. So, does anyone want to give more details on like what management is? And somewhat, we should do our stretching and break for the top of the hour. We need to go to the bathroom or anything.
Yeah, guys, stretch our time to 1 minute. Thank you.
Well, no, it's a 30 seconds should be fine. 10, 15, 20, or, if you need to get some water, bathroom is fine. But let's make sure we get this management thing together. Does anyone want to describe or have more clarity on management? Yeah, bouncing's also good. Remember that. So, anyone on the management? On what describing management? What is management?
Management is, the decision power of the company.
That's executive. Only the executive. So the executive and the board is the lead decision making power.
2 minutes left on the topic.
So management will be what?
They're gonna do NSC.
2 minutes left of this topic.
So management consists of workers and senior managers.
Sure, but the question is, what does a manager do? What does management do? Like, what is that? What is management?
Assign the tasks and responsibilities to the workers to get the work done.
Cool. So you get help. Yeah, to get the work done. Cool. So that's a pretty good thing. We evolved that a little bit towards more like reviewing and confirming what has or has not got done. Also helping prioritize the work, right? So that the workers can focus on the priorities. Okay, and then you want to review and make sure the work is getting done on the priorities. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the key is not doing the work, right? The workers do the work. The managers make sure the work is getting done. Okay, so they're very different paths between the management and the workers. And again, the management is not necessarily doing the work; instead, it's helping make sure it gets done. So, are there any other questions about the purpose and structure of the Mercury session? And just to remind us, we have the Venus session is the executive, the Earth session is the board and the council. Board and council is the council, and then we have Mercury, which is the management, and then you have the full/new moons are the core team. So the core team is what we're managing, right? The core team is the workers. Okay? Does everyone make sense in terms of our structure? Makes sense, yeah? Alright. What's next? Is there anything else? Next one. Recording and documentation. So I think this is you, Joyce. You had a question about recordings and documentations.
Joycey, this was proposed
Yeah.
by you.
When we created our email, our sextant email, necessary.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, when we created our sextant email, message say that we want to be approved to our email, for our email to be approved, and then and that we should that the correct way to record videos is to use the existing our existing guidelines. So add our details, name and password to the to the document. But which document shall we record it?
Abdul, do you know about the document that has the management passwords and emails for the official Google accounts?
I'm not pretty good clear about that one. And last time I sign up on that email that Joyce sent me, but there something asked from Google to verify the number. So that's why I cannot sign up that email.
To sign up what email?
Joyce send me a email on that Australia assistant email that they are created, and also send me their password. But I tried to sign up of that email, but
So Abdul,
yes.
what's the policy on signing into Google accounts?
I'm not sure of that, but I just sign up on that login.
Why do we create different Google accounts for different regions of the world, all over the world? Like we have a different account for different regions and different countries and different sextants. Why do we do that?
So we create for every sextant as single single sextant. We create a email so that they can use their YouTube recording on that specific weekly session.
It doesn't have to do anything with the recording. It has nothing to do with the recording. Why do we create the separate Google accounts?
Yeah, I'm not sure about it, but according to me, it's for recruitment purpose and to
It has nothing to do with recruitment or anything. It's just a basic technicality. And Abdul alluded to it, but if you guys don't know, I'll just tell you, it's so that you can log in at all. Right? Like if I have an account that I've made in California in the Americas, and you try to use it in India or in Asia, it's not going to work. They're gonna bar it. You can only use a Google account in the region and the zone that you're in. Otherwise, they're going to block it.
Yes.
If people are using the same account all over the world, it'll get blocked.
Yes.
So what is the policy on using official MQN Google accounts?
So, in my understanding, I think that every sextant, that means every country or every specific location, we use only one email, so that that email not blocked by.
That means the policy on creating Google accounts is different. So what is the policy on using and signing into an official Google account? So if basically, if you sign into somebody else's Google account and it blocks it, what does that mean in terms of our policy? Guys, is anyone here? Hello?
Yes.
But I'm not clear idea of that.
So is our policy go ahead and sign into any Google account you want, no matter what country it's from, and just like go block all our accounts? Is that our policy? Like, what's the policy, guys?
It restricts, you from to remain in your own extent.
Okay, so what would be the policy? That's correct. So what's the policy? Guys, it's really simple. It's only sign into your own, region account. Region. I mean, we're talking just basic common sense here, right? So if it blocks you when you sign into someone else's section, you shouldn't be signing into it, period, right? So there is a slight issue with Joyce having the Australia Google account, but if she's the only one signing into it, it shouldn't be that big a deal, but it might make sense for Joyce to have her own Google account separate from the Australian Google account, since she is technically in Africa. Okay?
Okay.
What? So the reason we're going over this, Abdul, is because why? Abdul, you there?
Yes, yes, Jam here.
So why do we just go over this? It's perfectly fine if you guys don't know, but let's just try not to have this silence. The silence is killing me.
So,
can anyone think about why we just went over the policy for using and signing into official Google accounts?
So that we will not be blocked when signing in on a degree.
No, well, obviously that's true. But the reason why we went over it is because Abdul just said that he tried to sign into the Eurasia account and got blocked.
Yeah.
Anyone heard that, or was I the only one who heard that? Did anyone else hear that, or was I the only one?
Yes, yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
So Abdul was doing against the policy, right? He was breaking the policy and signing into someone else's account. So we reviewed the policy because Abdul was not following the policy, right? So Abdul should not be signing into the account. And I don't know what person's writing this, but that has something else that's totally different. So what's the policy on creating Google accounts?
Only to sign in your region.
No, that's the policy that we're using and signing into an official FQ and Unity Google account is to only sign in your own region's account. What about the policy on creating a new Google account? Alright, anyways, if you guys don't know, just say you don't know, but just 20 seconds of silence is not a good thing. Like, we gotta put this to the side.
Yeah, you can tell us it.
Okay, fine. So, anyone can create a Google account for the region, right? Anyone can create a Google account for their region, and it becomes official because it is logged into the official manager's Google accounts list or doc. So it's really simple. So every country, right? Every country, section, continent, basically any region or group, right, can basically create their own email. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right? But you simply have to share the password on one of the official email accounts. Okay. Typically, only like managers or like senior managers shouldn't need access to do it. But also we have another policy on access to official Google accounts, and that is that every worker must have access to at least one Google account. Okay?
Okay.
So in this case, we might have like, you have like the main global, or main global / Australia or Asia Google account. Can't remember what it's called. And this one might have like, all our data and important documents, right? So maybe this one's only for level 4 / senior managers, right? And then maybe you make another one, have a level 3 Google account, right? So the point is that like your sexton or your area of the world can have more than one Google account. You can have one for high level 4 admin administrators, and then you can have another one for brand new people. Does that make sense? But the point is that every single person needs access to at least one official Google account so that they can be making documents and without having to transfer the ownership to an officially approved Google account. Okay. So, and that needs to happen in all the regions of the world, and each team is responsible for making sure their new members, through their onboarding process, are getting access to the Google account that's appropriate for them, so that they can make the documents. And of course, you can always use your personal Google account. It's perfectly fine to use your personal Google account, but then you just have to make sure that the documents end up in the correct folder and with the correct ownership, and everyone needs to be verifying that. So I think that we're good on the accounts and how that's all set up. So nobody has the document for the manager only Google accounts?
Can you elaborate? I think I can you elaborate?
So if nobody has the doc, I would just think create a new one, right? It's like create a new doc of the manager's only list of Google accounts and passwords. And we do need to go through passcodes and stuff. That is a next step that we need to make sure that we're addressing. So wrap up next steps for team setup is passwords and passcodes. So eventually we're going to get through and go through all of our global policies on password and passcode security. But right now it's really just not that important. We don't really have any type of information that's really, really important to secure. I think the highest level thing is some of our tax documentations. But those are currently secured. So anyway, so you can make a new managers only Google accounts and passwords doc. And then you can start listing all of the Google accounts on that doc that need to be listed for this could be like level 3 accounts, and then we already have one for the level 4 accounts. Do you guys can someone take care of that and do that?
Okay.
I do it now. I do it now.
Yeah, see? And then you need to be in touch with Joyce so that she can add her new Google account to it. Lastly, is there anyone who can explain what it means to be managers only doc?
Only the session managers have access to it.
Yeah. So almost 99.9% of all of our docs are shared transparently, openly to the world. everybody can only view and comment on them, if not edit them. So it's only, there are very few documents that you share only. If you would only share them with, official accounts and individual accounts that are supposed to have access to it. And that would be one of them. Our password accounts, we're only going to share internally to people who should have access to the passwords for that account. And then even if you have access to that doc and you can see all the passwords for the other Google accounts, you don't sign into them unless it is your area or there's a specific reason why we need to sign into the account to get access to information, et cetera, which can be complicated, but it's doable, right? So that's why we have all the passwords for each region, so in case we need to get into it, we're able to access it. All right, so recording. Recording, we have a document that goes over recording processes and systems. I would assume that's in our meeting. Roles and responsibilities.
So time is up of this topic.
Document created and attached.
There is a recording doc. Does anyone have the link to the recording doc? There doesn't seem to be a link to it. I think I have it on my main doc. Here we go, recording options doc. So I can already have that link here. So we can just link this and then we can delete all these recording and video indexing details here because it's not. The recording options, right? And I'll go ahead and link that to our notes as well. So what's our policy on recording?
The voice and video.
As I shared the doc link on recording doc link in Hangout.
So you want to record everything with at least the audio on your computer, right? That would be stuff that the first level. The second level would be recording with the official voice over IP freeconference.com HTTP. So that's access right here. It goes through the call-in number, the access code for student, how to get the recording started. Super simple. And then the third level, which is totally optional, is the video recording. Video recording is optional, higher level. We try to do it obviously for planetary sessions and other things. And the idea is that is to have access to the YouTube shared channel from the community network. So can anyone explain, if you're doing a YouTube recording, where is that YouTube recording supposed to go according to our policy?
It's supposed to go global, so that anyone can watch.
No, not exactly. But we have a specific account.
It should be brought asking the responsibilities of doc.
I don't know about that. Anyways, the account is it's the Global FQN Community Network account, right?
Yes. Okay.
So can someone say it? And it says that Joyce, and it says that Joyce, you're already a manager.
Oh, okay.
They're already on it. So step one is to have the YouTube account and then make sure you're signed on it, and you're already signed on to it, then you log into the YouTube account. In this case, the Global FQN Community Network YouTube account. That is where all the YouTube recordings are supposed to be, right? Another policy, so basically our recording policy is that everything is recorded at least on your computer audio, then do the free conference call HD, and then you can do YouTube, and the officially, do the YouTube recording on the Global FQN Community Network YouTube channel. But, right, so officially that's where you're supposed to do it. But generally speaking, anyone can record anything any way they want to. Okay? So you want to record on your own personal YouTube channel, that's fine. You want to do it an official recording, it can be done on any FQN YouTube channel, right, or any FQN Google account. But generally, you can record any way you want to at any time for any purpose. Everything that all of our broadcasts, all of this, our communications are all public and open. So there's no wrong way to record, but there is a right way to record, which is that, right, let me write that down, I like that, right? So there is no wrong way to record, right way, but the right way is to use the official FQN. Does that answer your question, Joyce?
Yes, Jay, thank you.
Any other questions on recording and documentations? And this is done. Document management. So if I go here, see what happens. All right, we did it wrong, Asif. Why did you do this wrong?
The spreadsheet.
No, it's not supposed to be a spreadsheet. It's fine to be a doc. But what did Asif do wrong?
So maybe shareable. Shareable.
You should make it shareable, that's why.
No, you made it shareable.
I think the name of the spread.
No, it's shareable. If I go here, it says that it's shared with anybody with a link can access this document. So if we put very, very high-level, important passwords and user account data on this document shared with anybody across the entire world, what do you think about that?
Okay, so it should be limited.
Yes, it has to be limited. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Right.
So limit it, and then invite Joyce, invite Abdul, invite me, invite the official community network 47 Gmail, right? So to make sure that only managers have access to it, and then put it in the managers only folder. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I know.
Great. Awesome. All right. So let's move on to the next topic. The budget. Excellent. And we need a little more time for this one. So like 10 minutes. So the good news on the budget is that I'm working on the exit budget, and the exit budget is due on Wednesday, so that's a huge top priority for this week. And the goal is potentially to be getting an additional $4,000 a month. If we get an additional $4,000 a month, that should cover any and all our ability to be able to hire local help here in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is very expensive, Alaska and other places across the world. So that should basically take care of all of our issues in terms of our budget. So may get extra $4,000. So currently we have 11,000. per month from exit, or it's it's about 11,000. It's actually a bit less than that, but let's just say 10,000. And so the goal is maybe to go up as much as 15,000. All right. So the main thing here is really creating a new budget. Does anyone want to describe what budget we're going to be working on at the management level? We really need to work on both budgets. We need to work on the team budget, and we also need to work on our overall budget. I got the budget stock. So nobody has any idea what budget's working on? Does anyone can even
working for senior budget? We are working on senior management, we are working on sector budget, we are working on team budgets, we are working on individual budgets.
Getting close. So we're updating the core team team budget, right? The team breakdown budget. Right? And then we're also working on the overall budget. So update the overall budget. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to show you guys how this is done. It's really not that hard, but these are responsibilities that have to happen. This one happens, Mercury. So basically 1.5 to every to quarterly, right? Then this one happens monthly. Okay.
Okay.
So these are very important responsibilities of updating the budget, and all of us should be capable of doing this. And eventually updating our budgets for our sextant teams as well every month. All right, so we have the overall budgets, October, November, December, and then we have the global 14 budgets for October, November. So for this one, we need to create a new budget for November, December. Okay? So
Okay.
if someone can do that, that's great. And then
Yes.
we already have an October, November, December budget for our overall internal budget. Okay?
Okay, I can do that.
So, so what is the first thing you do when you budget? When you update the budget?
You have to check if the people are budget.
Well, that would be for like a team budget, right? When you're proposing it, so you're correct. But overall, it's budget priorities. The budget priorities, right, is step one. And what that would mean for a team budget is that your priority is to hire and keep your team members. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if the priority for your budget is hiring and keeping your members, right? So example, hiring and keeping and paying your workers well, right? Your workers well. And in our case, it would be the main buddy team, right? So that if that's our priority, then your budget's going to reflect that you want to pay for the people and have your personnel be the primary budget. Okay, but that doesn't have to be the only priority in your budget. Your budget can be, you can create any budget with any priority. So the priorities are the most important part of any budget because your priorities are what determine what's in your budget. And by the way, we're at the half-hour mark here, so we do our little stand up and bouncing for like 15 seconds. 20 seconds.
Guys, I can sing for you if you would like. For 30 seconds.
We can do that at the top of the hour. But you're welcome to sing for sure. But let's just keep,
I thought you were away, Vijay.
well, no, just stretching for a few seconds. So, yeah, we just, at the bottom of the hour, it's just like a quick stretch break for like, 10, 20, 30 seconds. And then at the top of the hour is when we do like an actual, like bathroom, water, like people needing to take care of themselves, right? So, so the budget priorities that we want to add in for now are a couple things. One is we want to increase the income by about 4,000, right? Potentially, this is a potential increase, which would be good. Although I think it might end up being $3,000, but if we're actually cutting some too, right? So we'll be cutting and adding at the same time. Another budget priority would be cutting $1,500
আমি প্রথম দেখবো যে লোকেশন ঠিক আছে
our advances and back pay.
কি হচ্ছে না
Another budget priority could be would be to add output for position. And anyone think of any other budget priorities?
Does it include section budget also?
I know there's a slightly bigger, but if you want to add something for sex and budget, you can. So, budget priorities also relate to goals, but I mean, obviously, the overall goal for the sextants is to make sure that the sextants fit in the budget. And to try to ensure that sextants fit into the budget. Well, it's going to be difficult, right? But we have to do our best. But you have a specific budget priority besides that? What was yours, Cecile?
Having a separate budget of sextants or for sextants?
Well, that's just a policy, right? Our policy is that every single sextant needs to create their own budget. And we already reviewed the entire budget process for the sextants during the quarter moon session. So I don't know if we need to go through that now. Right now I'm talking about creating an overall budget, not a team budget. Because we're on the man. This is not a sextant meeting, so we're not going over a sextant budget. We can't talk about that during client billing, client reporting, and value tracking. This can be part of the budgeting process as well. So we might cover it a little bit, but overall, it's right now we're on the management budget. It's overall budget. All right. So are there any other budget priorities? This is the time to add things to the budget. All right, so I'll take that as a no. That we have everything covered. So let's go back to the budget here. And there is one component, which is accounting. Ideally, in a budget, you would do the accounting. We're just going to estimate we have about 50,000 total accounting. We're going to estimate about 50,000. So, all right, so right now it's at 46. So we could probably go up a little bit. Oh, I remember what it is. Okay, I have another one. So I want to create a global HR ranking, HR hourly ranking budget. Right. So so this is our core team budget. Our core team annual budget. 2 month. This is our recruitment budget, which right now is about 10,000. Well, oh, so we have the offers budget here. That's great. Wait, no, this is not right. No, it's not right. So we do need to go over our recruitment budget. So primary sub budgets. Primary sub budgets are a recruitment budget. Can someone pull up the recruitment budget that we passed a couple weeks ago? Because it will be good. So someone can pull this up.
City
It might have been during like a normal session, but you should be able to find it in the decision stock. Can anyone do that? Does anyone remember about that?
I'm just trying to find out.
Yeah, well, you have been doing a lot of recruitment. You've been doing a lot of recruitment, and you're saying it's fitting in the recruitment budget. So I'm assuming you know where the recruitment budget is. Otherwise, you wouldn't know how much money you have to work with.
Yeah, I know it's or not.
Then we want to put the new updated budget here, the 13 budget. And then what we want to do is we want to add a new line for global HR, our. I'm thinking for this one, it should be, we're going to do annual and the 6 month. I wonder how that works though. So I'm going to go ahead and link here. So this is our October-November budget, and we're going to be also linking our November-December budget. There. All right. So let me look in here quickly. Oh, I see. So it's annual, half year, and quarter all together is 23,000. So this is annual, half, and quarter. $23,000. Okay, so that's basically our buffer. For this one, this would be annual and half year. And I'm thinking between the two is going to be 9,000. Is that correct?
Email Excel file দাও কি কি লাগবে তোমার
আর ইমেল দিয়ে তার সেকেন্ডারি ইমেল আমি লিখতেছি লাগবে
সেকেন্ডারি দুটো একটা হলো আছে
সেকেন্ডারি তার ভ্যালিড ইমেল জন্য
ভ্যালিড ইমেল
So it's at 400 one time a month. 500 next month.
Mission
No. 500 plus 5,000 plus 3,500 is 8,500.
at the rate of
So this would be $8,500 for annual and half year.
yeah dot
And let's note that down on the notes here. So the idea, the proposal here is basically you have your core team, your global HR, our global jurisdictions. So this one's going to be our jurisdictions budget. We're talking about, let me just copy and paste this from my previous notes. Did anyone get the recruitment budget? So it looks like we also might need a recruitment budget doc. Create a recruitment budget doc, right? So we should have the recruitment budget on here. Right? That's the problem. The recruitment budget isn't on our budget document. Is anyone here? I feel like I'm just talking to myself. Like, really, really.
Yes, Jay.
What about Australia session? You approve the recruitment budget.
I got the recruitment budget.
Yeah, if you could just paste it into the Mercury session, that would be great. Right there, that's perfect. So again, I would highly recommend that we create. So this is the Mercury. There's a lot of background in this for somebody. I would go ahead and create a recruitment budget doc, and then we can store our recruitment budget in the docs to make sure that we are organize that and everything. And I want to remind everybody that our recruitment budgets are for 2 to 3 months, right? So, for example, if you spend your entire $700 all in 1 month, it's gone, right? So for the next 2 to 3 months, you don't have any more recruitment budget, right? All right, so let's see here. Can someone create the recruitment budget doc and then link that, and then this needs to be linked to the budget doc, the main budget doc? Can someone please do that?
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So the global HR rankings budget. Does anyone want to think about what that would mean? So if we do $5,000 for the year, that's $400 a month, and $3,500 for the half year, that's $600 a month. So the total is $1,000 a month for that budget. So does anyone want to think about what that would mean, or do you want me just to tell you? So basically, it's going to pop open the rankings. So I'm going to open up the rankings doc, and this would be our personal rankings doc. And we are in October, November. And so I'm going to go, actually, no, we don't want to do this. We're going to do public rankings. There are public rankings. Yeah, this is it. So in this instance, the goal would be to, and we can add here, Joseph, Steve are now active. Up to now last month, and then we can just, well, that's not going to happen. We want to do active team public meetings. I think it might just be the ones that are actually offered per week. I guess all we have to really do is just do the actual, right here, the actual money per hour ranking. So we have 2 types of rankings, right? There's the relative jurisdictional ranking, and then there's the actual money per hour ranking. So does someone want to describe the difference between the actual money per hour ranking and the relative money per hour jurisdictional? Yeah. So basically, like I'm at the top of the relative money per jurisdiction ranking, where I'm basically making 39 cents compared to everyone else in terms of the jurisdiction being very, very high. So I can't pay for rent, I can't pay food, I can't pay all these like basic living expenses because I'm not making enough money to even like barely scrape by a living, right? Where I currently exist. So in the context of like our budget, I'm getting paid more money than anybody else. But in relative terms, based on the jurisdiction, it's like, you know, pennies on the dollar, right? So I rank at the top of the jurisdictional rankings, and then it's Steve, Mill, you know, and then you have the Steve Dallas, right? So from there, the actual money per hour rankings represent the global rankings, right? So in the context of if our budget, let's say our budget got cut by 90%, and we only had like $10,000 left, we had very little money, and like we had to just like slash our budgets. We'd have to cut me before cutting our global source because we have limited money. So it would make sense not to make sure that we're keeping people hired, as many people as possible within our global system, because we can get volunteers, because primarily we have volunteers, right? And most of the work that I do and other people do is all unpaid, right? So that will continue, right? So the actual money should go to those willing to work who are able to work for less, right? So that would be our global ranking, and then we have our jurisdictional ranking. So those are the two budgets. Does that make sense? Okay. So this would be our jurisdictional budget, which is around $20,000, and then we have our HR hour ranking budget, which is $8,500. So this is basically for a month, 1 month or 2 months, 1 to 2 months. This is for 6 months to a year. So basically what that means is the goal is that we would be able to hire a few people, specifically the people who rank highest on the actual, money per hour rankings, that they would get hired not just on a month-to-month basis, but we'd actually be able to stabilize that rate for the whole, for a whole half year, if not an entire year. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Typically, we have a $400 per month budget that is going to be a year annual budget, and then we're going to have a $600 budget that's going to be for a half year. So we can hire up to 1 buddy team or 2 buddy teams, whatever, at $400 a month, and then we can hire 1 or 2 at $600 a month, and the total is $1,000 a month. And these would be like secured positions that we can guarantee 6 months to a year of work. And these would be separated in their HR rankings. The HR roles would be totally separate from the jurisdictional rankings. So the jurisdictional HR rankings would be totally separate from the HR global hourly rankings. Does that make sense?
Yes, understand.
Very cool. So why don't we just go ahead and propose that and get that done? So proposal to approve hiring up to $1,000 per month for, I wouldn't say permanent, but long-term paid staff at $400 per month for the year, and $600 per month for the half of it. proposal correct? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat once again or elaborate? It will be for 1 year or it will go on?
He said
Right. So right now we're setting it. So we're setting aside $8,500 for these positions, for these global HR workers. So basically, if you're ranked in the top of the actual money per hour rankings, right? We would want to fit as many people as possible in, right? So if we have $1,000 a month, let's see if we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we can fit 4 people. Let's see what that looks like. Let's add it in. Sum it up is, it's just barely fits 4 people. You might be able to get a fit. Okay, does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes, makes sense.
So basically this is equivalent of about 4. Currently. So obviously the goal is to get this budget higher. The 4 people is not a lot of people. We have like over 20 people on our budget. So right now everybody's temporary workers. And this proposal would change that. It would, for the first time, say that instead of just hiring people temporarily month to month, that basically they could be fired any time. This is saying we're actually going to try to give a few people, as many as like 3, 4 people, a more long-term guarantee, right? And we might want to like consider giving a quarterly guarantee at first, and then go to half year and then annual. But the idea is that we would set aside the budget separate from hiring people, and then we would need to do a separate proposal. So there would be a separate proposal for each individual worker to give them that, to set aside the money for that particular worker. Right. So let's say who's ranked number 1. So the highest ranking is Asif Sultan, right? So Asif Sultan Rasu would be the highest level of the ranking. So Asif Iqbal's boss is Asif Sultan, right? That's just like automatic. So in the context of what that would mean for us is, like, let's say we were going to hire Asif Sultan, the proposal would be $150 per year. Asif Sultan Rasu. And it'll be $150 per month for a year, which would be 12 times 150 is $1,800. Right? So that would be a separate proposal, right? So we have the separate proposal for each individual worker to set aside the money for that particular worker. We might be, we're not ready to approve Sultan and guarantee him work for a year, right? Maybe he's still too new for that. So maybe we'd be like, maybe instead of for 12 months, we would guarantee him for just 3 months, right? 3 months. Or maybe we don't want to guarantee Asif Sultan. Maybe we want to guarantee Asif. The point is that we can control which workers that we actually set aside that money for, to guarantee them and how long we want to guarantee them. But the money itself is set aside. So all we're doing at this point in the proposal is to set aside the money. It's $8,500 towards jurisdictional money, which is this one. So each jurisdiction has their own budget, and it ensures that regardless of the money, that we are able to hire people, because it's just different costs and it's more expensive to hire people in other places in the world. We would have a I couldn't hear you, Tiz. I still can't hear you. And if you guys are saying that time is up, you're doing a terrible job at the timekeeping, because we need 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, 1 minute left at time, 1 minute over, 2 minutes over. I mean, it should be constant. And if you guys aren't doing a very good job on the timekeeping. So, in the context of this proposal, does anyone not understand the proposal that we're setting aside $8,500 for the HR hour ranking workers?
I got the J.
Right, so that's set. Steve, you want to vote? I'm going to vote yes.
Yes, from my side as well.
From my side also, yes.
I say yes too, because of PM.
Joyce, do you want to vote? All right, Joyce votes yes.
Okay, list yours, Wes.
Yes. And what about Steve? Is Steve still here?
No. Steve left.
All right, make sure we note in the notes that he left. So, is that everybody? Alvina voted yes. Anyone else?
Yes. 7 of you.
All right. So the reason why we're voting on this proposal is because it's a new budget, and it actually changes a lot of things, and it's very important. And it's a substantial amount of money. I mean, $8,500 is a lot of money to put aside, which affects all the rest of our budget, right? Okay. So that's done. So now we can update that in the budget. $8,500, 23,000. Let's make sure we're adding this all up right. This looks good. This looks good. 10,000 for recruitment budget, unbus budgets, program budgets, other budgets, building functions at one time. So this is going to be a question mark. We might need to do more or less. So I'm going to make this yellow. Okay. So so we covered the first part.
So this, this 1,800 amount will be deducted from 8,500, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if we have $8,500 and we have if we have up to $800 a month, it would be 8,500 minus 800. Well, no, divided by 800. So 8,500. So it's about 10 months. So it gives us about 10 months total of potential time that we can recruit people. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and of course people can always change their budget still, but then they could potentially, like if we approve Steve Sultan at $150 a month for 12 months, if he changes his budget, then he breaks that agreement and then would have to reapprove it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yes, yeah. But of course that's going to happen at a later time. But what's really important to note is that these 4 people here that potentially fit into the budget would basically mean that that can come out of the existing team budget, right? So it can actually open up space to hire more people in their team. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's an additional budget on top of the existing team budgets. But again, it creates an incentive for people to be willing to get paid lesser because then they can guarantee payment for much, much longer. So instead of it just being month to month, it'll be quarterly or even annually, which is exciting. So anyways, I'm really happy about that we're able to do that. It means that we're starting to get more stabilized. We're starting to have more money in our budget. Very important. So the next thing is our core jurisdictional team budget, and then we're done. So we got the budget doc. Let's make sure we link the recruitment budget doc to the main budget doc. Where's the budget doc? Here. All right. So I'm going to open up the FQA internal budget for October, November. But we need a new one. We need a new budget. Did anyone make the new budget after I asked her? So I asked someone to create that so that we would have it, but I will just do it myself. I'm going to make a copy of the budget. Then this is going to be our new November-December budget. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste it and link it to our budget doc so that we don't lose it. Come out of the budget doc and link it. Because this is not our current budget, I'm going to go ahead and not make it bold. That one bold. And then I'm also going to copy and paste it into our notes so everybody can have access to it. Okay, so let's see if we can get this done. So here's our new budget. The most important thing is we have a whole new category of budgets here, which is, so this is our, this is our jurisdiction budget, right? Jurisdiction team budget. And then there's also going to be our HR hourly budget, okay? Mobile. So annual, how much do we put in annually? $5,000, right? And then half year we put in $3,500, and we put 0 in for the quarter. So it gives us $1,000. So it's technically $417 for US. Bitcoin is a lot higher. Whatever. Okay, does that make sense? You guys see that?
Yes, I see that.
It's interesting that is it really exactly $1,000? That's possible. I guess it is. Huh, interesting. But Bitcoin is actually much higher right now. It's more like 5,500. So Bitcoin is going up. Okay, so if Bitcoin wasn't going up, by the way, guys, we would be in a lot of trouble with our budget. Our entire budget is almost all based on Bitcoin going up. So we're very lucky, and we're a very lucky position. We should very definitely use that. Right. So does everybody understand the assets budget and how we just created this new set of budgets? And so the grand total would be $4,000 plus $1,000. Does everyone understand this?
Yes, understand that.
Cool. So that means we have a total of $5,875 from our internal budgets per month. So the total adds up to, so we actually have in the budget $31,000, right? And we are the goal is only to spend $6,000 of that $31,000. That would be the goal, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case. That's not what we're doing. Technically, what we're doing is we're spending $18,000 plus. So $18,000 plus is a lot more money and you see that basically we're spending half more than our money every month. So our overall budget, we only have a 1 to 2 month budget, about a 2 month budget in terms of our security as an organization and a network, which is really, really, really unsecure. Not good. So for the first time, we're going to at least have $1,000 that's going to be secured. Okay, and this particular quarter budget right here, this secures my budget for at least a couple months. But again, it's still only like 2 months, 3 months, okay? But everybody else, it's really this $1,000 budget here. So I think we're all on the same page on that, right? So let's check out our monthly income. So from our annual budget, we have this, add your budget, and then we have new budgets. So this is their annual. Let's put a little more detail here. So income source type. So this is jurisdictional, and this is global plus HR hour. What? Oh, okay. So this is going to be equal to this one. Oh, oops. There we go. So just doing a little cleanup to make sure it works right. Okay, so this makes sense. So we have the jurisdictional and the global budgets, right? That makes sense?
Yes.
And this is all more like 5,500. We're at 300. Okay, so exit, finance, and practices. So this would be client. Use the exit next client. Client. This is one time. So for now, we're going to go ahead and delete this. We also have our one time. What do we call them? It was like our advances, and back pay, right?
Yes.
So for now, I'm going to put 1,500 on here. Although I'm thinking about doing 1,000 the first month, 500 the second month, depending on how bad it is. And again, this is actually negative 1,500. Does that make sense? So this is really important that we spent that money when we wrote that. So this one we might add that in. So let's make both of these yellow. That there might be some changes there. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Cool. Additionally, exit house management. So this is probably going away, but we're going to make that yellow because it might come back. Anya taxes. This is definitely going away. We're done with that. This is client. Jorge entities will continue. Exit house client. Systems processes. Zero ops contracting. Value doc secretary coordination legal art. That's our budget. Legal arc. Okay, so this legal arc, this is what's going to go up right here. So we're talking about increasing my pay up to as much as 7,500. So let's say we get the full amount. 7,500 divided by 2 would be almost 33. I think we could probably get as much as like 3,000 out of that. So instead of 1,200, we might be able to get this up to like 2,900, 3,000. And then we might be able to slip in something for like systems and processes, and maybe we can get 1,000 in there if we're lucky. And let's keep this one yellow as well. I mean, I think that's it. I think that's it. Can anyone else think about it? This is what you do when you update a budget. It's like you go through each section, you make sure it's correct to the amount, that we need, and then we're subtracting the advance pay that we pay people out. Additional recos, so if we might need to add more, and that equals 15,875. Am I missing something, or what?
I don't think. Maybe.
So the first thing I would do is I'd actually go to our previous budget. So one thing I want to make sure is clear. This is for our new budget, right? Yeah, this is for the new budget, October, November. And actually, let's get rid of this one, even put this one here, and then we have the new budget even newer, which is the one we're working on now for November to December. So the problem is that we just want to double check and confirm from the October November budget like what's changing, what's happening here.
Monthly income.
So our old monthly income was almost 18,000, was 1,775. And we had Horia entities, we had legal architecture was much less, and we didn't have the additional money from the other stuff. So the question is why is it so low? So we added all this like extra money here. We're adding the money here. Did we miss something, or is it just really that low?
I don't know whether we missed something.
So what I have is $16,000 instead of 18,000, which is actually a reduction in our budget instead of an increase. I think especially the quarterly budget, at least my budget for sure, I think we can increase that a little bit. We might be able to go to like 12,000, maybe more. But not much more. So if we try to increase these all a little bit, well, let's leave that one at 7,500. 25,000. That's down a notch. So it's like 25,000. So we try to bring this up to 25,000 for our overall budget. Where's our overall budget? Here it is. Is it? Yeah, overall. So 25,000. That brings us up to 51,000. And we could say that we have 50,000. So it's about 1,000 off. But I think this is a low estimate. So we should be okay. I still don't think that's going to help us much. 16,500. So we might be able to get to 1,700, but basically you have to see that these advances in back pay are substantial, right? So even adding as much as like $2,000, $3,000 to our budget still means that we're taking a cut for the month. Can anyone see anything else other than that? So let's say we make that one only $1,000 cut. It would be 17,000. So it would still be $1,000 cut in the budget. I'm gonna do this one. So if we didn't have this $1,000 cut, it would go up to 1,800. But let's say we have over the additional RICO, we could add some more and cut things from other places. Let's see if we can try to do at least 1,000 for additional RICO. So then we come over here and we make this 1,000. So I think maybe we keep it the same, barely. Okay, does that make sense? You guys understand what's going on here?
Yeah.
So we added an additional 1,000 from RICO, which we want to get away from because definitely not that's going to do. We get the 18,000 budget. So alpha budget we want to add for management. So manager positions alpha. There's a lot of management work to do. Maybe put like $300 in that. So it would be nice to actually increase our output budget. Let's see what that equals out to. So does anyone have any questions over all these budgetary processes and everything?
No question from my side.
No question either.
could be helping. I mean, I don't see a single person on this document. It's like, I mean, the whole point is that we're supposed to be working together, but instead you guys basically just having me do everything and not helping out. The next part that we're here is the team budget, which is very difficult, right? And this is the hardest part, is getting everything to match up as far as the amounts, right? So it's like, if we add $300 to this, then where do we take away the money? You know, I guess we take away money out of deliverables, or we need to get rid of other output. You know, investor relations, sciences, taxes, specified overall priorities, specified overall priorities. Yeah, I guess that's important. Umbrella accounting, finance, current value tracking, worker coordination, housing support. We'll probably get rid of housing support. That's probably personnel support, study team support, communication, session support, accounting, documentation support.
Okay, awesome.
Let's make it a little bit less, 200.
Correct. The model, baby.
All right, so I think that's gonna be good enough for our output budget. But again, it's very, all this budgeting can be difficult. So this is going to be 3,100 for the output budget, and so we have to delete like something from somewhere. Let's just delete, make this 900, and then that'll even it out. So our deliverables budget, we have to delete, you know, $100. Okay.
Okay.
So no more online voting form bonuses and meeting note bonuses. All right. So this is the hard part, is the team budget breakdown, and this is the most important part that we have to do. Okay. So, and this is where it like really affects you, right? So we need to make sure that every team is clearly marked. So the Atlantic team is going to be a sextant, right? The drama team is a duo decant. And technically their money is going to go through the sextants anyways. Sonic team is a sextant. This is the 180 degree. The 60 degrees west. And you guys could totally be helping with this stuff. I don't understand why I would have to do this all myself.